upon a time, a young boy called Jack lived with his mother in a simple little farmhouse in the countryside. Jack and his mother were quite poor, and the only money they had was from selling the milk from their cow, Daisy. However, there came a time when Daisy stopped producing any milk, as she was getting quite old. "Jack, you will have to take Daisy to the market and try to sell her so that we can have some money for food," said his mother. Jack was sad at having to sell poor Daisy, but they had no choice. The next day, Jack set off down the country lane. He hadn't gone too far when he came across a strange-looking, kindly old gentleman who stopped for a chat. "Hello, young Jack, and where are you going?" he asked. Jack was surprised that the man knew his name and told him about their predicament. "Well, it's a very long walk to market," said the man. "Why don't you let me keep Daisy, and in return, I will give you some of my magic beans." The man showed Jack a handful of sparkling beans, and Jack was intrigued. "Magic beans?" he said. "How are they magic?" he asked. "You will surely have good fortune in life if you possess some of my beans," he replied. Jack thought his mother would be very pleased with this exchange, and so he agreed. Jack gave Daisy over to the strange man, and in return he gave him a handful of his magic beans. Jack skipped home, but his mother was certainly not pleased. "You silly boy, Jack! There is no such thing as magic beans. They're just ordinary beans. The man has tricked you. We needed money, and now we have nothing." She was so cross, she sent Jack to bed and threw the beans out of the window. During the night, something very strange happened indeed. The magic beans in the garden began to grow and grow and grow and grow. When Jack woke up the next morning and looked out of his window, he saw a huge beanstalk reaching right from their garden up and up into the sky. He was amazed. Jack, being a very inquisitive and adventurous boy, decided to climb the beanstalk. Jack climbed up the beanstalk high until he climbed up to the sky. After climbing for a very long time and feeling very tired and hungry, he eventually emerged above the clouds and saw another land. There was a path leading into the distance, and as he looked, he could see a castle beyond. Jack walked along the path until he came to a huge door. He knocked on the door and waited. And very soon an enormous old woman opened the door. When she looked down, she saw Jack. "Goodness gracious, who are you?" she asked. "Hello," said Jack. "I'm quite lost. I've been climbing for a long time and I'm very tired and hungry. Could you kindly spare me some food?" "Some food?" she boomed. "You will be food if you're not careful. My husband, the giant, will be back soon, and he eats little morsels like you for a snack."
But there again, I don't get many visitors, so you can come in for a little while, but don't you make a sound. And if he comes home, mind, you'll have to hide."
Jack went inside the huge castle, and the woman took him into the kitchen where she had been cooking and gave him some food. Not long after, they heard huge footsteps coming down the corridor.
"Quickly, you must hide. In here."
She showed him a little nook in the wall, and Jack jumped inside. The giant sat down at the table looking very grumpy. He sniffed the air.
I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
"Don't be silly," said the woman. "It's just the stew I'm cooking that you can smell."
The giant humphed and said,
"Bring me my gold."
The woman brought in some sacks of gold and put them on the table. Counting his gold always cheered up the giant. Jack peered out from his little nook and was amazed how much gold the giant had. Not long after, the giant yawned and fell asleep, and the old woman left the kitchen, forgetting Jack was there. Jack crept out from his hiding place and bravely approached the huge table. On the floor were 2 small bags of gold. "Surely he won't miss these," thought Jack. "He has so much gold." Jack picked up the 2 small bags of gold. Then he crept out of the castle and ran along the path to the tip of the beanstalk.
Jack climbed down the beanstalk tall, so carefully he did not fall.
When his mother heard where Jack had been, she was cross, but also amazed at his bravery and obviously delighted when Jack showed her the gold. Jack and his mother lived comfortably for a good while from the gold and were able to buy a new cow and complete much-needed renovations to their cottage. However, Jack couldn't help looking at the beanstalk and was itching to climb it one more time for another adventure.
Jack climbed up the beanstalk high until he climbed up to the sky.
Once again, he walked the sky pathway until he came to the giant's castle, and once again the huge giant lady came to the door.
"Oh, you again? Come on in then, but you'd better be careful. Remember, if the giant sees you, he will eat you up for a snack."
Jack followed the huge lady into the castle kitchen where she gave him some food. But it wasn't long before they heard the booming footsteps of the giant approaching.
"Quickly, hide," she said.
And once again Jack scuttled into his little hidey hole in the wall. The giant was grumpy, sat down heavily at the table, sniffed the air and said,
I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
"Oh, don't be silly, dear. It's just the sausages I'm cooking for you."
The giant ate his sausages and then boomed,
"Bring me my hen."
The woman came back with a golden hen and placed it on the table in front of the giant.
Lay,
he said, and to Jack's amazement, the hen clucked and then laid a gold egg.
Lay,
he shouted again, and the hen produced another golden egg. After a while, the giant yawned and fell asleep at the table. The woman took the hen back into its cage and left the room, forgetting about Jack hiding there. Jack heard a little voice coming from the other room. He tiptoed quietly from his hiding place to where the hen was calling out of her cage. "Please help me," she said. "You can talk?" exclaimed Jack in surprise. "The giant is very mean, and he makes me lay golden eggs every day and then keeps me prisoner here in this cage. Please help me escape." "I will save you," said Jack. "You can come and live with us." Jack wasted no time. He opened the cage, tucked the golden hen under his arm, and then tiptoed quietly into the corridor and then ran as fast as he could back to the beanstalk.
Jack climbed down the beanstalk tall, so carefully he did not fall.
When he safely returned home, his mother could hardly believe Jack's tale and was even more surprised when she saw the talking golden hen. Once again, Jack and his mother lived very well from the occasional golden eggs that the hen laid. They were very happy and comfortable. But after a while, Jack could not resist one more adventurous climb.
Jack climbed up the beanstalk high until he climbed up to the sky.
This time, when he reached the huge castle door, he found it open. He quickly ran inside, down the stone corridors, and found his way to the castle kitchens, where once again something was cooking on the stove. No one was around, and Jack certainly didn't want to get caught, so he immediately jumped into his little hidey hole in the wall. Sure enough, not long after, the huge woman came in to resume her cooking, and behind her came the booming footsteps of the giant. He sat down heavily at the table and began to sniff the air.
I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
"Oh, don't be silly," said the woman. "It's just this delicious casserole that I'm cooking for you."
The giant ate his meal and then boomed,
"Bring me my golden harp."
The woman came back with a beautiful golden harp, which she put on the table in front of the giant.
"Play,"
he demanded. Sure enough, the magic harp began to play beautiful, calming music. The giant yawned and soon fell fast asleep. The woman went out, and Jack quietly crept out from his hiding place. He carefully climbed onto the table and crept up to the harp. It was very heavy for him, but he managed to lift it down from the table and crept out as quietly as he could. He ran down the stone corridors, but the jolting of the harp made it begin to play. The giant heard the music, and came after him. Jack ran as fast as his little legs would carry him, holding tight onto the golden harp. He reached the beanstalk and began to climb down. To his terror, the giant was following him, and the giant also began to climb down the beanstalk. Jack reached the bottom first, being very nimble, and called out to his mother, "Quickly, quickly, bring the axe!" Jack chopped as hard as he could until the stalk was cut through. The beanstalk began to creak and groan and twist and curl and came crashing down to the ground with the giant tangled between its branches. The giant was dead. But then a very strange thing happened. The branches and leaves began to sparkle with the magic. They began to twist and curl and bind themselves around the giant's body. Then they began to suck the giant under the ground. Before long, the giant and the beanstalk had completely disappeared beneath the earth, never to be seen again. From that day, Jack and his mother lived very happily in their cosy cottage with their new cow, the golden hen, being soothed every day by the beautiful music of the golden harp. And that is the end.